it's all God's fucking fault. It's always it's always somebody else's fault but my own. And one day I finally pick up the Bible and say, I'm just going to give it a shot. And I sit there and I start reading it. And what I would do is I would just play this game with God, and I'd say, please God, whatever's in this book and you want me to find it, let me find it now. And I flop the book open up on my bed, and whatever page it opened to, I would just read until I went to sleep that night. Now I'm reading this, and I don't want to try and kid any of you. I was not trying to do I'm really ready to turn my will and my life over to be a better human. I was like, please God, I have a fucking public defender. Please, I need your help, because if any of you never know or been in the law with the legal system, public defender is kind of like a guy. It's not really, he's paid by the court, and he's not really your attorney. He's just kind of there because the court has to give you an attorney, and you never talk to the guy. You see him at court, and he just tells you you're fucked all the time. So I'm just praying to God, like, please God, get me out of this. Please God, let the walls fall down tonight. Please God, show me a sign that you're here by clicking open my door and let me go home. I mean, like, I was sick, I was 5 months in there with no human contact. So finally, I read a part about fasting. So I start fasting in there, and it says in this part of the Bible, it says you cannot fast and boast. You cannot go around to people and say, oh, God's my fucking boy, he's going to get me out of all this trouble, so I'm not going to eat. Like, you can't boast about why you're fasting, or can't boast why you're fasting. So the whole weekend they're coming in and keep sliding food through to me. And as they slide food through to me, I would slide it back out and say, I don't want it. And they would say, are you refusing to eat, Mr. Meeink? And I say, yes, I'm refusing to eat. So finally, the wording comes to me, and it's like 3 days of not eating. Now they think I want to put myself on a hunger strike to get out of trouble. They think that I'm looking for leniency or whatever. They think I'm on a hunger strike. So the wording guy, he's kind of just more of a lieutenant of the prison. He pulls me out and he says, why are you not eating? And I can't tell him, God's my fucking boy, and you better prepare, your walls are getting knocked down tonight because I'm going home. Like, I can't tell him this shit. I just got to say, hey, I'm just not eating. And he says, well, I know you don't want to be in this cell block anymore. I know it's rough in here. And he said, if you eat tomorrow, I'll put you out in general population. And what's funny is I remember real quick just saying, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And at that moment, and this is now in the future, and coming, close to now, when I look back on that moment, and you can argue if you're an atheist or not, but that moment right there proved to me that God existed. It wasn't, because it wasn't a question of, did God give me what I wanted? He gave me what I needed at that time. I had started to lose my mind in there. I really did. I started talking to myself a lot. I mean, I was starting to go crazy. And God knew he needed to get me out of there. So he gave me what I needed, not what I wanted. Because if I got what I wanted, I'd still be doing what I was doing, right? So, the next day I eat, I go out to general population, and I have about a month left until my trial. So I'm reading the Bible a lot more now. Please God fucking help me. Please God help me. Get me out of this. I'll be good tomorrow if you let me out. It's always I'll be good tomorrow. And one day I'm reading my Bible, and this big black dude comes in my cell from East St. Louis. And he's like, hey, skinhead, I see you reading the Bible all the time. He's like, we're always looking for people to do Bible studies with. He's like, we do it at my cell at 8 o'clock. Lockdown was 9 o'clock. So why don't you come down? And he was a massive, pretty big fucking guy. So I was like, sure, whatever you say. I'll be there. So I go down, and I remember it was about 8:05. I decided it is a good idea if I go down there. So I don't know. I just walked down to that Bible study, and it happened to be all brothers that night. All in there, and they're all holding hands, and they're all saying the Lord's Prayer. And I walk in, and they kind of separate. The two guys closest to me, and they both offer me their hands, no questions, no nothing. Just grab my hand, pull me in a circle, and they said, what is your name? Because they all just call me Skinhead Guy, or Skinhead Boy, or whatever. And I said, my name's Frankie. And they said, well, let's thank God for bringing Frankie in here tonight with us. And they started the prayer over again. And we'd all read. And now, again, it isn't this moment. It isn't the moment in my life yet where it's saying, look at what's going on. All I was doing was, I would go there because if I had court the next day, I would tell everyone at Bible studies, hey, tomorrow I have pre-trial hearing. And they say, oh, okay, well, we'll all pray for you. So I felt like when I went down to the hearing that I had a jackass public defender, and I had 5 prayers with me. So I would go down there for that, right? So I wound up getting 3 to 5 years, and they sent me upstate prison. and they put me in the same prison system with a guy named John Wayne Gacy, who was a mass murderer who killed 33 17, 18-year-old boys. And now, my first prison I go to, he's not there, but eventually I'll wind up at that prison, and I've been told that, you know? So I'm 17 years old, and I'm going to go to the same prison with this guy. So now I get sent upstate, and I get shuffled around a little bit, but I'm always in with the Aryans. And there's an Aryan Brotherhood and there's Aryan Nations, and I'm an Aryan Nations guy. Aryan Brotherhood are normally men who get into prison and need to join the gang. Aryan Nations gang in prison is people that are already involved with the movement and then got put in prison. So there's a little different, but we run together. I mean, we run together. Our money all goes together. And we run with other gangs too. But so I know I'm very well taken care of. I'm not scared. I mean, honestly, I remember thinking, when I was in that system, I just remember thinking, people must really think I'm a horrible human being if I'm 17 and they're just done with me. Like, I remember feeling that, but I never felt like scared of violence or scared of rape or any of the stuff that you hear about. I knew I was safe. So I'm at this one prison, and I kind of cut my hair back because I grew my hair out for court, thinking that I would trick the judge. Even though I had a big swastika on my neck, I wanted to trick him, and he wouldn't know I was a skinhead, you know? Even though all my testimony's about me being a skinhead, so I figured if I grew my hair out, I might trick him. So when I get upstate, I kind of cut my hair back a little bit, and you can kind of see that I have a tattoo on the top of my head. It says "Made in Philly." So like I'm walking onto this cell block that I had been on for maybe 1 or 2 days, and there's men in prison who dress like women all day long. It's just how they live their life. We call them the queens. I mean, there's tons of them in there. They're black, they're white, they're Latino. And they put Kool-Aid on their lips and Kool-Aid on their eyes. Like, they get the powder and they just make it into like a paste, and they use it as makeup. I mean, the whole thing. And one of the queens comes up to me and was like, "What's that say on your head?" The black queen. I said, "What's that say on your head?" And I said, "It says Made in Philly. I'm from South Philadelphia. Or I'm from South Philly." She was, "Oh, I'm from South Chicago. What's up?" And I was like, "Wow, what a fucking coincidence, you know." And I stepped on, you know. And later on now, all the Aryans who I haven't got to meet yet are all going to be out at this yard one day, like 2 days later, a day later. So we're all standing out there, and the head Aryan at the time, who I really bonded with since I got there, and I got to remember, to them I was like a little celebrity. I had the cable access show, I was recruiting, I mean, they all know who I am. So I'm like the little celebrity to them, so I'm really hanging with the head guy a lot, and here comes that queen again. And she walks by me, and she's with another queen, and we're standing on the other side of a fence. I mean, you can get around the fence, but they're walking on the little track, and we're sitting up on these bleachers, and she taps her other queen friend. There's another black queen at the time. She taps her and says, "Hey," there he is, and she's real loud, very boisterous, you know, it's really loud, and she's like, "Hey, skinhead," and I kind of turn around, and she's like, "See, I told you, he's fucking cute," you know. And then they keep on walking, and it's just kind of funny. It wasn't no disrespect. It was just, I bet you I was fucking beat right in the face too, as it happened. You know, just like, oh my god. So everyone's like, "Oh my god, ew." And then the guy that was the head Aryan at the time turns to me and is very loud and says, "How about that, Frank? The master race takes over. He's getting shot twice, huh? He's black and he's gay." And I said, no, guys. I said, "That's good right there." And I just remember him, oh, like, ew, you know, we don't know what you're like on the East Coast, but here we're not down with the gay shit, you know, like, it's not the Aryan way for us. And I said, "No, guys, if he's black and he's gay, he's not going to be with a woman, he's not going to reproduce his race." And it took them all a minute to figure out that I was a fucking genius. Like, to them, I was a genius. How did I figure that out? You know? So, from that day on, I was the smart one, you know?